gonna have another go.
Let's have a look.
As we see that picks and bans. Yes, Priest and unbanned by Greensheep. Ness is going to be playing Priest, Druid, Shaman, Greensheep on the Rogue, Paladin, Druid. And again, another Rogue ban tonight.
Yep, so once again we see the 3 top-tier decks in Druid, Priest, Rogue, and once again we see what is the only question being, what do you bring as the 4th deck? Shaman for Ness, Paladin for Greensheep. It kind of feels to me like Shaman is starting to be a bit unfashionable in the 4th deck slot.
It's kind of switched places with Paladin, at least tonight, where we've seen 3 Paladin already.
Yeah, I'm starting to be more of the opinion that Paladin, if you just load up the top end of the deck, has a better chance against Druid and Priest. I think with Shaman, you really want to be banning both of those decks for it to be good at the moment. The main thing you're trying to target is the Rogue, which is obviously why Ness has not banned the deck. I agree with his bans overall. Druid or Priest would probably have been acceptable here. But overall, I think I prefer the Paladin. It sucks against Rogue, which is why Ness has banned it. It seems to be whatever 4th deck you're bringing is dictating the bans here tonight. But I like his chances with the Murloc Paladin quite a lot.
Okay, well, 2 players, only 1 space left in the Premiership. Let's start the first game of the final season of the day.
So looking to be, I don't know, I guess UK Paladin? Oh no, sorry, it's the Rogue here.
UK Paladin! That brings me back.
I just thought with Stormwatcher, I was not expecting it to be Corpse Taker Rogue, but because it's much more popular in the Paladin decks. But it is still, you know, showing its head every so often in the Rogue decks. I guess just the fact that, you know, you're getting more powerful turn 4 options, which suck in Rogue. People are playing Chillwind Yeti. Board Control was playing Lillian Voss, for God's sake, on stream the other day.
Well, each to his own, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think he was memeing a little bit and saying it was good because it sucks.
That's good.
That is good, though. I will not try to argue that Prince Keleseth is not a fantastic card.
On turn 2.
On turn 2.
Not so good on turn 15.
Well, I mean, Zombie Chow wasn't that good on turn 15, but it was still one of the best cards Hearthstone's ever printed.
Yeah, that's fair. And, oh man, I was about to say this is a tough decision. The 3-mana 3/4 Shaku with so many stats.
Yeah.
But Greensheep goes with the Flappy Bird immediately. I guess he's figuring this early in the game it's possible Ness doesn't have an answer. Whoa, this is lightning speeds. I can't keep up with this game, Derek.
It really is. I've agreed with pretty much everything so far, however. Saving the not going for coin into Wild Growth on 1 was right because you've got no guarantee of Galactic Crawler getting a target. Going with the Vicious Fledgling nice and early was probably the right way to do things because if they do have Swipe, you're okay. And if they don't have Swipe, you probably just win.
Yeah. I mean, Wrath is the other card that could have been a problem, but not that much of a problem. Oh, hello, double Galactic Crawler, 2 pirates on board. Suddenly, this looks like there's a comeback.
I mean, I know that Crane was recently tweeting out that why are people still putting Dirty Rat, Doomsayer, and Galactic Crawler in their Druid decks? They don't know how it's working. They don't know how the deck works. I'm not saying at all that this is, you know, necessarily a reason to put Galactic Crawlers in your deck. I'm not going to be results-oriented. But oriented to this particular result, it's looking pretty good.
That's orientated.
I think it's oriented.
It's, as some UK casters may argue.
I'm not even going to go there. I don't want to rub anyone up the wrong way.
I think you just did. We'll talk about that later. Anyway.
Just casters that matter.
Oh!
Only joking, only joking. So it looks like it was a spreading plague, but maybe spread a little bit too thin here because literally has disappeared into the ether.
Yeah.
I'm sure just a small spectator bug. It seems to be happening a fair amount at the moment where, you know, the cards just are not appearing even though the turns are clearly being played.
Hopefully we will see an update on the progress any moment now.
And even so, you know, I think spreading plague on that turn probably was the way to go because if you're going for double Galactic Crawler first, the thing is you're just not going to be in a situation where Spreading Plague will be good. Whereas if Ness decides to go for the Spreading Plague here and can then follow up with the Galactic Crawler on one of the following turns, he's still very likely to hit targets with it. And on this turn, he's played the whole bunch of 1/5s, put himself in a great position, and Galactic Crawlers are still nuts.
That's real nice. Okay, we've switched back into the correct perspective. And you're right, those Galactic Crawlers are going to do some serious work now. The Spreading Plague was very clever. A good shout by Ness, I think. And Galactic Crawler, double Galactic Crawler plus Mark of the Lotus. seems playable this turn.
Yeah, so you've got, what, 1 mana left? Yeah, I suppose you could go hero power to kill off the Shaku, but this does the same thing. And yeah, you're wasting a bit of mana, but who cares? It's just so nutty. You just want to make sure you're pulling ahead right now. And it's even a good spot here for Ness, because he's realized one of the only things he's really weak to on this turn is Valspine Slayer, and he doesn't have any one particularly powerful minion. It's still almost certainly going to come down for Greensheep, but it's far from backbreaking for Ness.
This might not be what Jade Druid is supposed to do, but it's certainly doing it right now and seemingly winning the game. The Greensheep still has some time. That Stormwatcher might actually be quite difficult for Ness to deal with. And then if Greensheep can find a buff for it, maybe a Bone Mare, he does have a way back into this game. That's
fair. We're still at Ness is still at 1-1 Jades, which is the main thing that's holding him back from just being in a complete victory situation here. But the thing is, Aya on its own, the 5-3 body is good enough here to contest the Stormwatcher and be a really nice way to just fight back against this board no matter what. Like, what can Greensheep even do here? The Corpse Taker, I mean, that sucks. You basically, maybe you don't have to go for Stormwatcher because you're in such a bad spot here that possibly Stormwatcher sticking to the board and getting Cold Blood Bone Mare on the following turn is your only chance of coming back into the game here.
Oh god, this is so rough for Greensheep.
But maybe, on the other hand, playing out the Stormwatcher here to try and soak up as much of the damage as possible, and then hope to go Flame Elemental Bone Mare off the top on the following turn, probably is a more realistic way of wrestling back board control.
If Greensheep plays the Stormwatcher, I'm relatively certain that Ness does have to deal with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you just don't leave a big Bone Mare target at all.
No. Potential 16 damage, exactly.
Oh, and with the Wrath here as well, it's just not even a question.
Now it's easy. Now it's just Aya, Wrath, draw some cards. Seems like a good turn. Maybe you ramp up a bit and draw some cards later. You don't like the Wrath? Don't the Aya?
Well, actually, no, now that I look at it, I mean, yeah, the Aya is almost definitely going in there. You nourish first, basically. Actually, no, maybe you go Mind Control Tech, Jade Blossom, Wrath, and then nourish on the following turn. Yeah, because Mind Control Tech isn't going to go off. Okay, nourish for 1, Wrath for 1, sorry, if he's going first here, probably. Okay. Yeah, so going with the highest tempo play right now, considering all the options, I like this the most. Just going with Hearthstone fundamentals. You play your cards, then you draw your cards. In a kind of tempo board-based deck, that's the way it goes. And there's no swing back for the Rogue because they don't run Mind Control Tech. Obviously, there's nothing like Spreading Plague. I mean, maybe it could be Swashbuckler into Spreading Plague, but you don't play around scenarios like that.
This Backstab top deck is just so disappointing.
It sucks.
Such a low impact card in this position. Obviously no Wind Fury or Lifesteal on the Corpse Taker here.
And now Jade Spirit is fine because you're up to the 4-4 stat line on your Jades. Obviously you go with the Nourish first because you just want to fill out as much mana as possible. And I just fail to see a situation where Ness doesn't win here.
What? Okay, are there any huge...
If you say Deathwing, I swear to God.
Now, are there realistically any huge swing cards that... Actually, Yogg is my go-to in this position.
Oh, right, okay, you're a Yoggman.
Okay, no, clearly not. I was wondering if maybe the Lich King could... a Lich King into Army of the Dead could maybe be a comeback for Greensheep, but it looks like he doesn't run it because there's the concede already. Ness takes the first win of the series. And don't forget, every game counts right now. Loser of the series is out of the Premiership.
That's just got to be feeling terrible for Greensheep. Going into a matchup, you really want to be winning because looking at the 3 power decks of Rogue, Druid, and Priest, Rogue against Druid, they're all kind of close to 50-50-ish, but Rogue versus Druid is the one you want to be winning because you can get things like Keleseth on turn 2, a huge Edwin early on. There are a lot of really viable win conditions to just run away with the game. And losing this early on with a Rogue and getting the Druid out the way is just a really nice way to get things going for Ness and a terrible way to get things going for Greensheep.
Yeah, so now Ness only needs to win with his Priest and his Shaman. Shaman is going to be an interesting one, as we were saying before.
Oh, yeah.
Seems to be unfavorable.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be the first Shaman that we've seen today. Meanwhile, hold on a moment.
Was that meanwhile or meanwhile?
Meanwhile, from the meme sheep himself, Malygos Kuhn. Okay.
Oh, it's just Big Druid. Okay.
Oh, that makes more sense then. 2 Big Druids in one night. Okay, so I kind of expected the Dragon Priest, but have I missed something else?
What do you mean?
Has there been some resurgence of Big Druid as well as Dragon Priest recently?
I mean, what, DreamHack Muzzy was playing it to pretty good success.
Okay.
Just the fact, I mean, against the Dragon Priest, it's probably not that favorable either. I think it's just trying to target Jade Druid a bit more heavily is probably the thing he's going for here, because obviously it's got a much better matchup against Jade Druid than the Mirror does. It's probably a higher than a 50-50, and against the Priest, it's got a pretty decent chance as well. So I think overall, I do favor bringing it here. Definitely, I think it's the stronger deck. I think it's better than Jade Druid is in this format, than Big Priest is than Kazakus Priest. I think if you're going to bring Big Druid or Big Priest, you go for Druid.
Yep. I really want Greensheep to just lower his webcam just a little bit.
I kind of like it. It's like a Futurama floating head.
I think maybe he just didn't... Well, he very clearly hasn't made his bed, and I just think he's as part of these players not wanting to show how bad their bedrooms are, I think he's just trying to show as much of the upper side of his room as possible.
I kind of like the vibe of his room as well. It looks like in The Matrix when Neo's in his room at the start, because everything's kind of got like a green tint to it.
Right.
But clearly he is not the chosen one right now.
Clearly. Not against this board. He has a swipe which does something. It deals with the totem and the 1/1s. Nourish makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it does to me as well.
And you could also obviously Wrath at the same time. Maybe swipe next turn.
So it's far from perfect in the fact that you can't go Medieval on the following turn.
Yeah.
But actually, having said that, maybe you would just rather go for swipe Hero Power on the following turn. You're still a little ways away from all the kind of nonsense like the Doppelgangster Evolve. And so just clearing off the board here as much as possible makes sense. We could even see Nourish for mana, swipe the Galaka Crawler, and then just Deathwing Dragonlord on the following turn. I love it!
Insane.
I love it.
We've got Ultimate Infestation as well now, so Greensheep doesn't need to worry about running out of cards. I think Greensheep just takes this. That's a very early call. Obviously, there are ways that Ness can just get an out-of-control board and possibilities that Greensheep won't be able to deal with it. But I just think the stuff that Greensheep is going to be putting down over the next couple turns, Ness just won't be able to keep up with.
The thing to remember is that while Ness is playing, 5 mana here, his opponent is responding with 10 mana on this turn. It's just one of the situations where you don't really come back from. The main thing for Greensheep here is just to consider how he wants to play this. I think Ultimate Infestation comes down on this turn because it gets you closer to cards like Spreading Plague, all that other kind of good stuff. Whereas, you know, Medivh into Medivh into the Ultimate Infestation, probably a bit greedy. Oh, there you go.
That works.
Speak, oh the devil.
Next draw as well, so we just played Medivh. This hand looks good.
Fair enough. But, I mean, in this point, there's the real power swing turns like Alexstrasza Earthen Scales. You go for an offensive play to try and kill them, or a defensive play, and you gain a whole bunch of armor at the same time. Kind of annoying that we can't see Ness's cards in hand at the moment, as he appears to be stalled on one of the previous turns. But the thing is, if it's not Thrall, Deathseer, or Evolve right now, it doesn't look all that good to me at all.
You know, I'm glad you pointed out that there was something going wrong with his hand there.
Right.
Because I've been sitting here for the last few minutes thinking to myself, how did he play Doppelgangster for 3 mana? or did he play it for 4 in Koi? But that still doesn't make sense. Okay, all right, good. We're back in reality, where Doppelgangster costs 5. We're on turn 6. Whew. Clearly, a little something going on with the Hearthstone Spectator client tonight, but we'll just get that fixed for you any moment now.
Yeah, what do you expect? Small indie company. Lul.
All right, we're back.
Wow, okay. Bloodlust, actually, is what? 15 damage plus... how much is on board? 6, add 15... What? 21 damage? Was that one off lethal? Or, oh no, sorry, a little bit off lethal.
Clearly, Ness has calculated that it's not lethal. I have enough time to work that much out. And Spreading Plague is going to do some serious work over the next turn.
Oh, my dear.
Devolve could mess Greensheep up.
That's true. That's the main thing to consider here. So maybe you're basing your turn a little bit differently because of that. And so, as you said, because of exactly that, I'm looking at things like Alexstrasza on yourself, Spreading Plague. You bring yourself up to
Earthen Scales.
Oh, Earthen Scales, sorry. Yeah, you bring yourself up to 24 health.
You're just
you're just going to be dead to Bloodlust. And you just need to be securing up the position to the point where you don't die to certain cards like Bloodlust.
I think this is one of those points where you just accept if Ness has the Bloodlust Evolve, then he has it, and there's not much you can do about it. This is dicing with death, this right here.
So the play I was looking at was Spreading Plague, double Earthen Scales, Wrath. You can kill off a couple of things. But this play is maybe actually better. You're gaining the 5 armor, which is really important, kind of equivalent to having a Scarab on board. Probably more so, actually, now that you've cleared off the cleared off the Flame Tongue Totem. You're back up to 23 health, so even with Bloodlust here, you're pretty far from death.
Even Devolved Bloodlust is not lethal here, so Greensheep did the right thing. He managed to play around the 2-card combo.
It's close to lethal, but the thing is, if he had Bloodlust in hand, it would have been very close to lethal on the previous turn anyway, so it's not much of a better situation. But yeah, I think you do have to go for it here, absolutely.
Okay, but Greensheep has Alexstrasza in hand. He has ways of generating more armor.
Yeah.
That said, Ness does keep his whole board after making these trades, almost his whole board anyway, so this game could still go either way. If Ness picks up Thrall in the next couple of turns, then things start to look really bad for Greensheep. Yeah,
and the Evolve is the main thing that turns this around. The thing is for Greensheep, though, is he can still feel okay because of the fact that there wasn't a Devolve. Actually, no, there wasn't a Devolve on that turn because you needed the mana to fit in the Evolve itself. So maybe here for Greensheep, he is still just afraid of exactly the Devolve to just completely destroy his Spreading Plagues. And then there would be, what, 10, 14 damage coming in, so not lethal straight away. So maybe you can feel comfortably going for draw with Wild Growth, Spreading Plague, armor up. But at the same time, maybe Alexstrasza yourself, Earthen Scales is the way to go.
Oh, this is clearly very rough. Greensheep having to start his turn with a card draw.
Oh,
that's what he'd have been looking for. It clears away the Saber-Toothed Tiger. Saber-Toothed Tiger?
Saber-Toothed Stalker.
Stalker. It's close. It's close.
Trust me to remember that.
And now Bloodlust plus Devolve doesn't do it.
I mean, even at this point, like, you're not playing around a second Bloodlust and a Devolve. It's obviously not cards they would keep off the mulligan.
No, that's true.
And they would have to have top decked all of them at this point.
Though it's feasible that the Devolve's there, and the Bloodlust could still be, the second Bloodlust could be top decked. So it's one of those cases where if you can safely play around it, you do.
I mean, that was still the best play.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the alternative was Spreading Plague. This was better, and this played around both.
Whoa, and now with Spreading Plague and the swipe as well, you can, trade off your Drake, go for a swipe on the Blackguard, and then Spreading Plague.
Spreading Plague before the swipe.
Spreading Plague before, and then swipe, yep.
Yeah,
I think that's the play I'm looking at.
That's just nuts. That's just so crazy.
Leave your opponent only with a 5-4. I mean, you could just go for the swipe on the thing from below because it does then die to one of your Scarabs. But yeah, it's Token Shaman. You clear off everything you can, and then you likely win. This is looking better and better for Greensheep. It was rocky there for a little while, more so than I was expecting. But with the top deck of Firefly, this is over.
Yeah, Greensheep showing why these players have been bringing Big Druid. Not the first player today, Big Ben earlier, showing why these players have been bringing Big Druid. It's doing some work.
It's doing remarkably well today. There are a couple of games, like, you know, against Zoo or whatever, you're kind of expecting it to struggle. But in matchups like this, I mean, I guess you're kind of also expecting it to struggle, but there's still basically the same defense against Doppelgangster Evolve as there is in the Jade Druid, of ramping as aggressively as you can to Ultimate Infestation, and more importantly, Spreading Plague, as we see here.
Do you prefer Kuhn to gain armor, or Kuhn to gain mana, and then Earthen Scales to gain the armor anyway?
Yeah, you go for mana here, 100%, yeah. It's a very, very rare scenarios that you end up going for the mana, because a 10 mana 7/7 that gains 10 armor isn't actually that good, whereas throwing down Medivh and...
There are situations where you certainly can, like against Pirate Warrior, for example, or decks that have a lot of burst. If you get low, then that can actually be the card that brings you back into the game.
And that's what I mean. It's rare, but you consider it, but definitely not.
Ultimately, you just try and play it with Fandral every time anyway. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately you try and curve out perfectly with the absolute nuts every single game. But
all right, Derek, that's enough of your sass.
All right, mate, you ask a stupid question, you get a sassy answer.
All right, now Greensheep takes his first game of the series. We are 1-1, moving into game number 3. Okay, I thought that was a round of applause then in the background. I mistook the music for clapping.
I thought you were trying to figure out if 2 + 2 = 4 - 1 is 3 was actually going into game 3 with your quick maths. Did you get the meme?
No.
Man's not hot? No.
No, I thought I could hear Deathsea clapping, actually.
Oh, right, okay. Just ringing like a po-po in.
But yeah, okay. Do you have a favourite out of these two?
What, in terms of players or going forward with their lineups?
Take your pick.
I mean, I think Greensheep is just the favourite going in here. We've seen from Ness, you know, he hasn't been looking particularly good in this particular ESL Premiership. Last time he had a lot of uni work to be going on with, whereas Greensheep last year was, you know, going to the Bahamas, winning the actual ESL Premiership overall last season.
And also he was competing in the Hearthstone Global Games at the same time.
Exactly. I mean, that's less of an accolade, I would wager.
Yeah,
but
well, it's just there was a lot on his plate.
There was more going on, yeah. And yeah, like we said, Ness, you know, I feel like I don't want to disparage him at all. It's been very, very far from disagreeing with most of his players. I think pretty much consistently throughout he's been playing decently well. But the fact that you're 0-2 down, it's, you know, it's possible you just got super unlucky, but you're probably doing something wrong in terms of lineup or play.
Obviously, both of these players have been struggling in this tournament so far. That's why they are here on Elimination Day. That's what I'm deeming today.
I like it.
I could call it like Qualification Day because that happened as well, but no, it's Elimination Day.
Yeah.
And that's a good start for Ness. A good anti-aggro start. We've got the Cleric, which you can drop on turn 1, Powered Shield to buff that up, Holy Smite for a free kill later, and then obviously Kazakus.
Yeah.
Whether you go 1 or 5, I don't know, but this seems reasonable.
And so this is kind of the big thing from Ness, because very often when you get these kind of anti-aggro hands, you just run out of stuff to do. Like Holy Smite and Spirit Lash, they're kind of cute, and they might get the job done against cards like Vicious Fledgling, but you end up dumping your hand so quickly. But Kazakus is the main thing that will all kind of tie this together with a neat little bow. Going 5 mana to draw cards puts you in a great spot to find Raza over the next couple of turns, and you're just not going to be running out of removal options to kill off what your opponent's throwing down.
I was just, while you were talking then, I was just shaking my head in disapproval at Ness. Turn 2, he'll face pass, do nothing.
Oh, where's the light shall burn you?
I know, right?
Oh, well, he's Tyrande.
Ah. I mean, you just end turn then. You just don't need to. You don't need to heal your face. What
Well,
that do, Ness?
bluff in the Frost Giant.
You just took a solid like 3 seconds of all of our time. Okay, I got way too worked up about that. Never mind.
Yeah, pick your battles, mate. So going with Holy Nova Spirit Lash over the Silence. This feels like a bit of a weird play to me, because the thing is, against the Temper Rogue, silencing Doomsayer or Edwin is obviously fantastic, and maybe because of exactly Edwin you're keeping back the silence, but there's not that much that's worth silencing in the early game.
I feel as though you have to silence this because Cold Blood is just too much of a threat. You don't want to take 14 damage next turn.
I guess, actually, because it is a Corpse Taker build as well, yeah, maybe the silence is worth saving.
Okay, these all seem pretty awful. Transform can be okay, Armor can be okay. I don't know if you can guarantee actually getting minions onto the board well enough to go for +4 health.
Yeah, you don't have Northshire left in hand, so you can't go Northshire coin +4 health.
Yeah.
I guess maybe if you go for Transform a random minion, you can not go for the silence here, because that's going to be your answer to the Corpse Taker on the following turn. Or maybe because on turn 5 you're expecting to see Scalebane or Hydra, you know, it's a very good target to be polymorphic. So that's probably the option that I would expect to see there from Ness. But I don't know, I guess at the same time maybe you could argue 7 armor is worth it.
Look at the resources being used there. Coin, Powered Shield, Silence.
I think because you're going into Raza on the following turn, in my opinion, it seems very worth to get the potential for the heal on the Kazakus here for 0 mana. That's a really nice big tempo swing back in your favor.
Good timing on the Stormwatch there as well. Just coming on time, not too early. Too early would have been a problem. But
well, you know how he's just on time. Checked his Stormwatch.
Ah. Very good.
Thanks. Yeah, just going perfectly for Ness. If you're ahead on board against the Rogue going into Bone Mare turns, that's when you know you're feeling good. The Valspine Slayer does help to swing this back a little bit, but the fact that I can see random there from the Kazakus potion tells me everything I need to know, and we can see a polymorph onto this, onto this Valspine Slayer. But the thing is, at that point, there's still a Sheep, which is still going to be buffed by the Bone Mare. Yeah. Probably not worth it then, actually, is it?
So what was the other option from the potion? We had polymorph and
didn't see. Possibly deal 5 damage was one of the options. Oh, draw 2 cards. Yeah, I mean that's.
Oh yeah, that's the best one. It's probably a decent turn to do that actually. Then again, the 3 drops are very, very tempting as well.
Yeah. So if it's Bone Med, it goes up to a 7 attack minion, which means that Tar Creeper into Talon Priest lines up just well enough to survive the hit. There is the dagger hit as well, though, so maybe you actually just throw this down on the Kazakus. But then again, if there's not a Bone Mare, then you're leaving yourself more open to Backstab or SI7 agent. It's a really tough call.
It's actually really tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of complexities to this decision. And we can tell that because we're seeing the rope once again. In the first game in this series, these guys were both playing lightning speeds, but Ness is really slowing it down here.
Go on, place your bet. Where's it going?
You wish to live.
It's going on the Tark Reaper.
Wow, you're a wizard.
Yeah.
She works for Blizzard.
Because I'm a wizard?
A wizard blizzard. A blizzard wizard.
Okay. So obviously Vastbind Slayer is another option for Greensheep here. He could play that with Prince Kalasat to buff up the rest of his deck. He can then use the weapon and the minion to clear up the 3-4. But no, gonna go Bone Mare.
Yeah, Bone Mare's just too good here. The fact that it's coming down a turn before Anduin, I think, is the main thing here. Because if you're going to be winning this game, you have to play Bone Mare, I think. You don't have enough value without playing the Bone Mare. So I like just getting that down one turn before, and then maybe playing the Stormwatcher on the following turn, which survives against the Anduin. But the Polymorph Potion is now becoming absolutely fantastic. You could go for the Pint-Sized Potion to take value trades here, which actually looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, I mean, you deal with the Bone Mare, you take very little damage in the process. Healing up the Talon Priest means that Greensheep is not easily able to deal with either of these minions.
With his sheep.
With Greensheep, with his meme sheep. Stormwatcher still survives, though.
Yeah.
Against Anduin.
It does. There's no real way to take advantage of that because there's no Bone Mare or Cold Blood at the moment.
Yeah, Greensheep just used up a Bone Mare.
Yeah.
So it's less likely
I recall.
to get one immediately.
I mean, yeah, I guess it just... Outside of that, you're going Valspine Slayer, which isn't bad here. There's really not much else you're actually looking to hit. There is the Cabal Shadow Priest, actually, which I hadn't really even clocked onto until now. Very unfashionable card at the moment.
It went through its phase. It's very uncommon at the moment. It's very good with Pint-Sized Potion.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously good as an anti-aggro card, but like you said, maybe its main utility is to kind of swing, I don't know, big priest matchups, as you said, in combination with Shadow, the Pint-Sized Potion.
Take it with Pint-Sized Potion right now. You just take the Stormwatcher.
Yeah, yeah, actually that's fair. Maybe because of that, Ness should have saved back the Pint-Sized Potion. He could still have killed off the opposing Bone Mare. He would have sacrificed his board, but it makes him significantly less vulnerable. And now there's a window here for him to fall behind. But do you... Oh, I think I probably would have just gone with the Anduin there instead anyway. I think you've got a good chance of stealing something with the Cabal Shadow Priest. You've already seen a Bone Mare, so the majority of minions you're hoping to hit with the Battle Cry have already gone. And you could have killed off the Stormwatcher as well with the hero power.
Yeah, Anduin coming down sooner rather than later feels like a good idea, but Ness now has complete control of the board. None of his minions have more than 4 attack. So actually, Anduin is looking very good going into next turn. He needs to hope there's no Cold Blood now. There's not.
The thing is, Anduin is looking good going into the following turn, but it was looking really good there, and you had 2 more cards in hand.
It's true.
I really do just think that that was the play there. Killing off the Stormwatcher just denies... The thing is, okay, you're denying the Battle Cry value maybe on the following turn, but this is the window for Greensheep to seize back board control.
Funny just side note here. Have we seen a single priest tonight actually play Raza and Anduin? I don't think we have.
Trying to think so. Maybe not.
Don't think it's been Highlander Priest tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's been banned a fair amount.
That's true, and we've seen Dragon Priest.
Yeah, Dragon Priest has been the real MVP tonight. So now, still in a spot where Anduin doesn't hit anything and still doesn't want to go for it. The Shadow Word Pain, I mean, on this turn, I guess it makes more sense because you really want to hit that Shadow Word Pain on the Corpse Taker.
Very obvious Cold Blood there. You've got Storm... Oh, sorry. The camera flip confused me then. Obviously, there's no Stormwatcher on the board. The Pint-Sized Potion Cabal Shadow Priest did not happen.
Yeah.
As much as I wish it did.
I mean, yeah, maybe on this turn that Anduin shouldn't. have come down. But I think, you know, again, you would have been in a much better spot if Anduin had come down on the following turn.
Ness is saying to himself, where's your second bone mare, Greensheep? Come on! I want to clear with this Anduin.
And why put yourself in that position? Like, you know, he probably doesn't have the bone mare from the plays he's been making so far. And even if he did have it, you'd have so many resources left in hand if you'd gone with the Anduin straight away that it wouldn't have been able to hit the bone mare. And that's the thing, because he has the battle cry to kill off the bone mare. But if something like Bone Mare Cold Blood come down on the Stormwatch at the turn it had been played, that would have been, what, 24 damage?
Prince Keliseth and the Fireflies are looking pretty sad in Greensheep's hand at the moment, but Bone Mare not looking sad at all.
Yeah.
We're going to get the trade and then buff up the Prince, or are we going to buff up the Valspine and make the value trade?
So you're afraid of Dragonfire Potion at this point, so I would expect to see the Valspine attacking in.
You're also very afraid of Anduin. Well, then again...
I don't think you are.
Yeah, exactly. Realistically, as Greensheep, you would probably assume Ness has played it by now. Ness is just trying to outmind game us all.
That's the main benefit of this play, I suppose, that I didn't clock onto, is that if your opponent does have Bone Mare at this point, they're just going to be slamming it down onto the board, because I think I would definitely have played Anduin at this point, and it hasn't come down. So he might just get a huge amount of value, which will possibly negate the amount of cards you've missed out on actually reactivating the Anduin hero power. But even then, I would argue that the amount of extra hero powers you could have squeezed in would be worth more than the battle cry here.
Greensheep is an aggro player through and through. That went right to the face. SM Orc from Greensheep. And now Ness going to just do his best to punish that.
Yeah, so he's afraid of Dragonfire Potion here, I think is the main thing, because not playing the Firefly here isn't a play around Anduin, because he knows if Anduin comes down,
just looking at Greensheep,
he has lost the game.
He's like, what? That wasn't played already?
Yeah. I mean,
that was definitely what Greensheep's face expression said to me then. There's what? He didn't have that card in his hand. And
so I think here as well, for the Priest, you steal the Prince Keliseth, because... yeah, because, okay, I was looking at...
Darkness.
Well, the Potion of Madness, if you throw it down now, you're very likely not going to get a target for it later on. But I think the main thing is, yeah, you throw down the Cold Blood here and just start attacking your opponent. Pretty much all the taunts have been played. They've got no heal, and you need to make it so the few cards you have left in hand will close out the game.
Oh, Patches the Pirate. Exactly what you want to draw on like turn 13.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Wherever we are right now.
I mean, Swashbuckler there, maybe if you get, I don't know, your own Shadow Reaper Anduin there from the opponent, might be able to pull you back.
No,
or
game over for Greensheep as Ness takes game number 2. Greensheep is one loss away from being eliminated from the ESL Premiership after winning the previous season of the ESL Premiership.
Yeah, starting to look very, very rough for him indeed. Hopefully he can have a bit more success there. Like, for his rogue, that's kind of just what happens against a priest that gets Raza and Anduin on curve. What can you really do in that instance? And I would argue, you know, like I said, I questioned Ness's play there, but it worked out for him because of exactly the fact that he withheld information. He made a non-conventional play, and the bluff factor worked in his favor, not an attribute that is often recognized in Hearthstone.
No, but absolutely. If you can afford to not play a card that is so obvious that you play in that situation, that your opponent expects that you would have played it, and your opponent stops playing around that card, it can rarely have huge upside.
Yeah.
Whether that was the case from Ness or whether he should have just played it sooner, I don't know. But let's take a look at what is potentially the last game. Ness just needs to win with his Shaman.
Very respectable hands from both players. For Ness, coming in with the very powerful anti-aggro hand, Firefly, Jade Claw's fantastic. But with Greensheep, not a hand that is looking to be too good for Jade Claws to take down, because it's not going to be a wide board. It's going to be a very tall Edwin board, I would assume.
Yes, so Ness is going to need that Devolve if he wants any hope of defeating this huge minion that's going to be coming out very soon. But this is tough for Greensheep. Coining out the Flappy Bird must be tempting. Coining out Edwin and playing Backstab to make the Edwin a 6/6 must have been tempting, but nope, he's going to play it slow, and I think Edwin coming down next turn as an 8/8.
Yeah, I think I like this a bit more, because the thing is, as a 6/6, it actually becomes remarkably easier to deal with. Things like Jade Lightning,
yep.
Flame Tongue Totem, all of a sudden take it out pretty quickly. As an 8/8, while also pulling out patches from your deck, it feels all of a sudden like it is significantly more difficult for your opponent to kill it off.
You get to deal with 2 of these minions.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, as you said, Jade Lightning, Flameton Totem, neither of those cards are relevant anymore. And Ness is going to be looking a little bit white in just a moment. But he knows it's coming now.
Well, I mean, he does all the time. Look at him.
I don't know, Greensheep's looking green.
Fair enough. I think Ness is going to be looking a bit green about the gills, though. I mean, you've still got patches in your deck for Ness, which is nice, just to try and go nice and wide on the board.
Are we evolving this turn?
Probably.
So,
maybe.
Corsair, patches.
I mean, you want to set up for Bloodlust on the following turn. That's the main thing you're worrying about here. So he's going as wide as possible on this turn. I think this is actually probably better than Evolve on this turn, because the thing is, Bloodlust will get the job done next turn. You're going to be trading in most of your minions anyway.
Yep.
So I like saving back the Evolve for a Saronite Chain Gang, or Doppelgangster, or whatever other stuff you can possibly stick it on.
Yep, okay. And Greensheep going to probably play the Fledgling and the Flame Elemental now. Is there any merit to hero powering instead of playing the Fledgling? Yes, there is. It's slightly better against Bloodlust, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he gets blown out pretty hard no matter what here by Bloodlust, actually. Like, you can attack into one of the 1/1s with your hero power and then Flame Elemental. That is what he's going to be going for. I mean, maybe not even the Flame Elemental, because you possibly just want to save that for the Valspine. And what does that actually do on the board here? It just gets taken out by the Jade Claws. So I think I'd probably just keep that back here. Pray that your opponent doesn't have a way to deal with this. But at this point, even Flame Tongue kills off the Edwin.
Yeah, that Edwin definitely posed a pretty big threat. Was a pretty dominating force in the early game. But not enough to single-handedly win this game against Ness.
However, on the on the other side, Bloodlust is all you're developing on that turn as Ness. So
and he has no cards in his hand.
Exactly. He's attacking in 2 minions to kill it off. Jade Claws doesn't help even out that trade.
Wow, okay.
Making the play around...
Devolve still? No, no, but you still like 8 damage to the face.
It still loses to Flame Tongue. It still loses to Bloodlust. I mean, I guess what he's thinking at this point is how wide my opponent is on board. Jade Lightning clears it off. Flame Tongue, Bloodlust. There's a whole bunch of stuff that clears it off. I'm not going to be winning the game through damage. I'm going to be winning the game through board control.
Yeah, and value at the moment.
Exactly. And because of that, I think I probably prefer this. Maybe I don't. It's so tough from Greensheep because the Rogue does have aggressive burst potentials, but none of that is represented in hand. Shadowstep, Leroy, and Coldblood are all the big late-game burst finishers. None of those are there in hand. Even Tidal Surge can't target face.
You know, Greensheep is a pretty good aggro player. I think it's fair to say that. So I'm going to go ahead and trust him here.
Yeah, me too.
And imagine that trade was correct. But it was definitely dodgy. The 8 damage to the face looks like it would have been really helpful. And now Ness's board is just getting wider. That Bloodlust is just looking better.
I mean, I guess that's the main downside of Greensheep's play, actually, is it signals to Ness, fine, I don't need to kill this off. This is just being used to kind of regain board control. And by going nice and wide on the board here, I can kind of just hopefully stick enough anyway.
Is this an evolve? Obviously, you have the downside of there being 3 2-drops you get from it. So you could evolve into a Doomsayer, and you could just blow up your own board. But the upside's crazy. Obviously, you'd prefer it if it was Doppelgangster.
I think the main clincher here is it's going into turn 6. If it was going into turn 7, you'd be much more likely to kill it off for fear of Bone Mare. But instead, we go for the evolve right now.
Okay.
Ness gets... Validated Doomsayer can actually just be cleared off completely cleanly.
There's Valspine Slayer as well. That's really bad.
This is really bad. Yeah. Bloodlust can still get value here, however. It's worth mentioning, especially with the Jade Claws. It can be a full board clear on this turn. Maelstrom Portal only helps to smooth that out even more. So it's far from over for Ness. And that's what the main thing is. He is not giving his opponent a powerful Bone Mare turn. He's at least keeping him at bay for the moment.
What does Ness do with this hand, though?
What to do?
Once again, he can clear the Edwin if he wants to, but all game he's been choosing not to. Even without the Bloodlust, he could have actually cleared the Edwin this turn. But deciding that enough is enough.
So you have the choice here of either going for Maelstrom or taking 8 damage to get clear board. I think if he's read the hand correctly, he'll go for Maelstrom here, because it's really not going to do much against the board, and he can keep back the Jade Claws, which is probably actually more valuable in this instance. Oh, he's going for the face damage, actually. This has gone the complete opposite of how I was expecting, actually. Given that it was a huge Edwin on turn 3, I was really expecting the Rogue to be the aggressor, but they are clearly the value in this matchup. And instead, the Shaman is just all in on face damage because he probably correctly knows he is not gaining back board control in any major way in the near future.
The problem is that Ness just ran out of stuff, right? Like that Edwin, bit by bit, was able to deal with everything that Ness was throwing out. Because Ness wasn't dealing with that at all, he was just kind of spitting more things onto the board. Greensheep's Edwin wasn't losing any health, so...
Maybe that's why he should have gone for an earlier Bloodlust.
Yeah, maybe.
There was the turn where he just went Primal Fin Totem Hero Power. It was a very weak turn. I get the suspicion that Bloodlust was just the play on that turn.
This is not a weak turn, though.
This is ridiculous.
On the other side, and the fact that we have the potential for a second Bone Mare next turn...
24 damage to face.
Okay, Ness can clear it. Okay, calm down. Calm down, everyone. Flame Totem means he
Go
can
about your day. It's a complete self-board annihilation, though, to come to actually kill this off. Only the Flame Tongue and the Searing Totem left.
Oh, he's not winning this game.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's no scenario here where Ness is winning this game. Not now.
Yeah, he just doesn't... I think he realized that that isn't a winning play.
Okay, get excited again, everyone. It's happening.
So...
yeah.
Oh, it's exactly lethal. Yep. There we go. Nicely
12,
done there by Greensheep.
11, Stormwatcher.
That was actually one of the most interesting games so far tonight, I would argue.
Yeah.
There were so many decisions along the way. Like, we could have seen a turn 2 Edwin for a 6-6. We could have seen a complete board clear on turn 5. We could have seen less aggressively trading from Greensheep and instead going for face. In terms of Greensheep's game plan, it absolutely worked out from going all in on board control against the Shaman. Always makes a good amount of sense. I think the main question there for me is Ness. His play of...
leaving the Edwin alive.
Leaving the Edwin alive. I don't even want to call it wrong. I think that's just the one I'm more questionable about, I'm more doubtful of.
We are going all the way to game number 5 in this final series of the day. One of these players walks out of this in one piece. The other one... I would say we're sending them home, but they're both very clearly already at home. Now, we've been talking a lot about Paladins and heavy curving Paladins, and I don't know about you, but I saw a Lich King in that mulligan. I
did also see a Lich King in that mulligan phase, which, I mean, that's not one of the higher end options that I usually consider in a Murloc Paladin, but, I mean, why not? It's great against Druid, and it's going to be great against Priest if you can already bait out the Shadow Word Death.
Yeah, Army of the Dead's pretty good in this type of deck.
Oh, yeah. I'd take that.
And Anti-Magic Shell as well, actually, because you are likely to be quite wide. Maybe not at that point in the game, but if you have got a wide border Murloc, because you can make them all untargetable, then how do you lose?
I like the way you think, Dan.
I like the way I think as well.
Okay. I like the way you look, too.
I like the way I'm done.
But most of all, I like the way you... Sorry. Do you remember that song?
I do remember that song. I can hear production laughing in the background. We are... Right, back to the game.
So here for Ness, the Maelstrom Portal is looking... Okay, so it's probably looking like the best option on this turn, but Maelstrom Portal is a much more valuable card in this matchup than the Primal Fin Totem that could come down right now. It's looking like we're gearing up from Ness's perspective of just going... going spell damage into Maelstrom. That's probably how he's going to start swinging this back in his favor, or devolve into Maelstrom.
Rockpool Hunter's a little bit awkward. Oh, Patches is helpful though. We can just Maelstrom.
Ah, a man of the Raven school of thought, where you keep Patches in your starting hand.
I'd never encourage that. However, Shaman is one of those classes where it's less bad to draw Patches because you got the Flame Totem, you got the Bloodlust, and here it's used to clear the whole board. I like this a lot. It's just a shame Ness isn't going to be able to take advantage of this Grime Street. Do you know its name?
Grime Street Marshal?
Sure, why not? This Grime Street Marshals doesn't matter.
We'll go with that. It's Grime Street something. It's gone anyway, so who cares? And obviously correctly trading it off there, because whenever that is summoned for the Shaman, Flame Tongue or Bloodlust is always a scary option to draw a card with it at the same time. I mean, this is just kind of Murloc doing everything it can and praying that no War Leader or Megasaur comes down. That's a second best, though. Not a bad consolation prize in the Blessing of Kings. Just anything here was good enough for the Paladin.
Yeah, Blessing of Kings is awesome, actually. Just something he can play this turn. Perfectly on curve.
Yeah.
Buffing them out into a 6-5. Ness needs to see a devolve, but have we actually seen a devolve from Ness's Shaman deck at all? I don't remember seeing one.
Oh, I'd be so surprised if there's not one.
I would be as well, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
I don't think we've seen one.
Okay, maybe we haven't. Yeah, I think we haven't seen one quite yet, but I think it's much more likely that it just hasn't been drawn yet.
Yeah, I agree.
But the thing is, there's a good chance, like you said, that there's only one in the deck, which would be pretty bad here for Ness because it wouldn't only be a good card here right now, it's a great card in this matchup overall.
Ness going wide with Firefly and Flame Elementals, doing what Firefly does best. Setting up for a potential Bloodlust, or at least threatening a potential
What
Bloodlust.
are these top decks from Greensheep?
Okay.
Blessing of Kings into Scalebane. I mean, with 2 8-drops in hand, this is the risk you run into with a top-heavy Paladin. But still just getting perfect cards on curve. Unbelievable.
Both of these guys look pretty tired. I guess it is quite late at night, but Greensheep just sort of looks like he's like, I want to get this over with. I just want to win. And Ness, the color is draining from his face as he falls further and further behind.
This is a great way for him to start pulling it back, though, because all these pesky little minions were left up. Flame Tongue Totem is the activator. Bloodlust would be decent as well, but Flame Tongue way cheaper and does effectively the same thing in this scenario. And with the Jade Lightning as well, you can clear off the majority of your opponent's board here. Not all, but hopefully enough, and just prey on just the ultimate hope that there is no Spike Ridge Steed on the following turn.
Yeah, Ness can clear all but one, right?
Yeah, that is what I said.
Yeah, that is what I said. Sorry, I was just kind of calculating it at the same time while you were talking.
It's my quick maths, mate. You don't know the meme, so you can't do the maths.
All right.
So the real consideration is just what do you kill off?
Yeah.
Probably just the 3-1 left alive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, going for the thing from below instead of the Jade Lightning. I mean, it lines up pretty well here.
You still kill the Scalebane, and that's the most important thing. And as you were about to say, the 5 health deals nicely with the 2 minions that have less than 5 attack.
The thing is, you get wrecked no matter what by Spike Ridge Steed off the top. That's, again, pretty good. But this is probably the best play around Spike Ridge Steed, because your opponent would have to invest a little bit of extra damage into it before he could kill everything off.
Now, how does Ness deal with Finger?
He gets Devolve off the top, or he just... You know, he just has to develop as much as he can on the board. He knows that Finger is killing something off,
this mysterious Devolve card, which may or may not exist.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, if your Devolve is so good in this matchup because he hits Spike Ridge, the Tyrion, Blessing of Kings, all these insane cards.
Oh yeah, playable card?
Fine,
right.
yeah. Literally anything that was playable there and costs more than 1 mana you were happy with.
Finger pulling War Leaders could be game-breaking for Ness. There's a War Leader.
Reporting for duty.
Oh man, Ness just with the face of a completely defeated man. I just don't think there's anything he can do to come
Greensheep
back
has
here.
2 8-drops now.
Even if there was nothing in hand for Greensheep, he'd probably still be in a winning position.
Yeah,
here.
but here's the thing, Derek. There are 2 pretty good cards in Greensheep's hand.
Damn it, there are probably 2 of the best 8-drops in the game in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably 2 of the best cards in Greensheep's deck in this situation. In his hand.
Goes from bad to worse, eh, Falk?
Actually, I'd prefer a Megasaur just to give the Finger Wind Fury and win the game.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, could kill off the Finger here, but you take so much damage, and the War Leader is probably more important anyway, because that has immediate effect. Finger pulling stuff from the deck has a turn where it can't attack. Hopefully you can prepare for that. I don't know. Bloodlust off the top? Does that do anything? That doing anything for you?
It does 19 damage.
Okay, we'll take that as nothing.
It clears some minions from the board. There's the second War Leader, right?
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Which minion are you playing here? Oh, a Lich King gamer. The sophisticated gamer.
Sure. Well, the Lich King can't be cleared right now, so it gives you more immediate value.
Well, Tyrion can be cleared either.
No, but you don't get the weapon straight away.
Oh,
with the Lich King,
sorry, yeah.
you get to keep the body, and you get the Death Knight card as well, in theory.
You get good Ashbringer, as I like to call it, right away.
Good Ashbringer.
Good Ashbringer.
Oh, Frostmourne just tears Ness to pieces. Greensheep has plenty of health. He has more than enough resources to be taking some damage. And there we go. The concede from Ness. Greensheep is still in the ESL Premiership, but Ness, unfortunately, has been eliminated. It is the end of the road.